Hello, I'm Wayne Willis, and this is a little video I'm putting together for my graduate students who have an assignment to write an essay about their philosophies of education. If you stumbled on this on the web and are not one of those students, you may not find much value in it, and so I'll be talking to them. So, to my students, if you would get out your rubric for your philosophy of education assignment. You also may want to reread what it says in the syllabus about this, but let's look at the rubric first. If you look to the far right-hand side, you'll see level 3, which is ultimately what you want to accomplish in this assignment. So if you look there, you'll see that the first two categories relate to professional literacy, and the highest level says significant and appropriate use of relevant professional language. As a professional educator and as a graduate student who's had this class, you should have learned a good bit of professional vocabulary and should be able to talk about these issues like a professional educator, not, parent or student. And so, terms like, constructivism or environmentalism or progressivism, those kinds of terms that are used in professional literature are the kinds of terms that you should know and should use in your writing. Cultural literacy, you know what I'm talking about. Stuff we've talked about from your readings and from the lecture material. The second category under professional literacy says clear and appropriate reference to major theories and theorists relevant to the student's own philosophy of education. So we've talked a lot of theorists so far this semester and a lot of theories like progressivism and essentialism and existentialism and idealism and realism and those kinds of things. And people like Plato and Aristotle and E.D. Hirsch Jr. and Neil Postman and John Dewey and Robert Hutchins and so on. And so you should be able to relate your own philosophy of education to the theories and theorists that we have studied. And you should be able to say, my view on this is similar to so-and-so, or is very different from this theory or whatever. So make sure in your writing your essay that you use appropriate professional language and identify the key theoretical and ideas and key theorists related to your thinking. The second general category in the rubric has to do with judgment, and it says that reflects a clear recognition that different and contradictory educational philosophies exist, articulates a stand on the central purpose to which schools should aspire, and shows how other purposes should be prioritized beneath that main purpose. When undergraduates study these things, they usually look at these different philosophies and just say, oh, well, we want to do it all. We want to do vocational, and we want to do liberal, and we want to do this, and we want to do that, and so on. But if you've been teaching for a while, you probably have discovered that there are limits to what you can do. You're limited in terms of time, in terms of money, in terms of resources. And so you have to make some choices, and you have to say, here's what's most important. And so this philosophy of education should identify what you consider most important. It should also reflect the fact that you realize that there are contradictory purposes. Robert Hutchins or E.D. Hirsch or Neil Postman or John Dewey might have a very different answer than you about what's most important. And so it should not be a naive, let's do everything. It should reflect an understanding of priorities. The next category has to do with writing. Writing is clear, precise, well-organized, and virtually free of surface feature errors. This is formal writing in a graduate class. It should reflect the very best formal writing skills that you developed as an undergraduate and in your other graduate classes, and should not be amateurish at all. It needs to be professional. The next category has to do with the connections to the National Board Certification that in this class you guys are working on. And so the key ideas from NBC core propositions are clearly reflected in and interwoven throughout the essay. That means you don't have to have necessarily a separate section, but rather as you go through, you should connect your insights related to the purposes of education, the priorities of education, to the things that are a part of the core of propositions of NBC. The last part has to do with connections to readings. It says clear engagement with and reference to key ideas from at least 3 of the semester's readings. And so, hopefully, as you've been reading this semester, you've been tying your readings in Hirsch and Postman and Tough and Shorris to your own thinking. And so you can say, my thinking has been heavily influenced by this in Shorris, or my thinking has been highly influenced by this in Tough or Postman. Or maybe say, I really, rejected, Postman's point on this or Shorris's point on this. And so you have a sense of ownership over your own ideas. Shows that you've read the others, you've thought about them, but you have your own sense of what is most important as it relates specifically to national board certification, in addition to education at large. Generally, let's see if there's another one here. You read the rest of the rubric there, but generally what you're trying to do in this assignment is convince your instructor that you have learned everything he wanted you to learn this semester, that you have read the materials carefully, that you've thought deeply, that you've applied them to your own experiences, that you can write them in a very clear, articulate, and professional way. And really what you're trying to do is convince me of how brilliant you are because of all that you have learned and applied this semester. So don't shortchange this assignment. Really pour yourself into it and give me the very best work you can give. I look forward to reading it. Thank you very much.